Good morning. We're going to wait just a minute or two and make sure we get everybody connected. Kim and Heather, can you guys see other participants?
No.
Hmm.
So we've got 3 attendees and 4 panelists is what my list shows when I just look at attendees.
Okay. We'll give it just one more minute and see if we get any more popping in. Okay. I think we will go ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is Jennifer Bell, and I am the Oregon Public Defense Commission Rules and Records Retention Coordinator. Big, long title. Essentially, what we're going to be talking about today is administrative rules and a rules advisory committee. With me presenting today, you may hear them in the background. Kim Freeman, who is the CAP, which is Compliance Audit and Performance Manager, as well as Heather Kessinger, who is the Senior Policy Analyst for the agency. So today we really just wanted to do a super high level overview of what administrative rules are and why we're talking about them. So Oregon law defines a rule, so an administrative rule, as any agency directive, standard, regulation, or statement of applicability. And in plain language, what that really is a level of guidance between state and federal law and then how agencies put that into practice through their policy. So as of January 1st of this year, OPDC came under the executive branch, and that means that we are now able to adopt administrative rules. So rules are intended to provide some structure around state and federal laws, detailing how the agency is going to put those into practice. The process for doing administrative rules is pretty significant. It takes 4 to 6 months typically to adopt a rule. As they have to go through Department of Justice review. They are submitted ahead of time to the legislative body. They're posted for public comment. They're presented to the Rules Advisory Committee, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes, and filed with the Secretary of State, all prior to becoming effective. And this is really just a graphic to kind of at a high level explain how rules work and how they fit into the policies. Starting with state and federal laws, and so you'll hear those referred to as ORSs, which is Oregon Revised Statutes, USC, which is US Code, and CFR, which is Federal Code of Federal Regulations. Then we have administrative rules that kind of provide more specificity, and then that drills down into policies and procedures. And really the primary difference here to understand is state and federal laws require legislative action. Those have to go before the legislature. There's a pretty extensive process, and those are 2 to 3 years out in most cases. Administrative rules, although that layer is still timely, 4 to 6 months, it allows quicker or more responsive changes for an agency. So again, the process of rulemaking is typically 4 to 6 months. OPDC plans to adopt their first set of administrative rules for October 1st of this year. So, we're about 5 months out now. So this is the beginning of how that looks. The agency's first rules are really going to be some structural things, including definitions. So we'll have some definitions that are commonly used in OPDC language around policies in the rules themselves. So we'll provide that guidance, as well as a rule around rulemaking authority and what we have permission to do. Other rules that are pretty common are things around eligibility for services or programs, as well as rights and responsibilities, both of the agency and of Oregonians who might be connecting with the agency. So as part of the rulemaking process, OPDC is going to be developing a rules advisory committee. And that's really what we wanted to talk about today. Talk about what that means, what it looks like, and how we plan to implement that internally. So a rules advisory committee, frequently called a RAC, is made up of stakeholders who might be impacted by agency rules. And so the goal is to really say, hey, internally, this is our plan. We need some advice, some opinions from people who might be impacted by these rules. So RAC members are typically appointed by the agency or the commission that is conducting the rulemaking. It's usually a small group of people, 7 to 13 is kind of a pretty common number, not including agency staff. So although the agency staff are instrumental in the rule writing and all of that, the RAC doesn't include employees. It's really to get external feedback and ideas about what the rulemaking might be doing. So a RAC typically reviews the language or the proposed language of a rule, talks about the fiscal impact statement, and then kind of opens the door for public comment processes. Members of a RAC would be providing feedback and recommendations to the rulemaking body on timelines, and again, what those rules might do to the families and the individuals who come in contact with the agency. So for us as an agency, our next step is really looking at individuals who might be interested in serving on our RAC, the Rules Advisory Committee. And we do have an application we've developed. So we're going to ask interested people to complete an application. Depending on the volume of applications we receive, we may be doing a lottery just to make sure we do this fairly and equitably. The goal is that we're really going to have different criteria set. So we know that there will be attorneys who want to participate in our Rules Advisory Committee. We anticipate investigators or other providers. And so to be equitable, we'll be putting kind of names into different buckets, making sure that we have a cross-section of representation for people who do want to participate in the Rules Advisory Committee. And then we'll work on how we're going to draw that out once we get the applications received. The other thing to know is that even individuals who either can't or aren't selected for the Rules Advisory Committee, that doesn't mean there's not an opportunity to provide public comment. So all agencies, before rulemaking is finalized, have a public comment period. So OPDC has built a website. There will be opportunities of how you can provide public comment and submit that to the agency as well as part of the rulemaking process. So what is the RAC and what would it mean for any individuals who might be interested? So right now we're really anticipating the RAC meeting about once a quarter. So it's not a huge time commitment. Depending on the volume, we expect the meetings to last for an hour or two. And they'll be planned several months in advance. We're actually going to be scheduling RACs for the entire year here in the next week and getting those posted so that people can consider that when they're applying for RAC membership. Outside of the meeting, RAC members will be asked to review proposed rules prior to the meeting, just to help inform conversations. The volume of rules for each quarter will vary, but I don't anticipate it being, again, more than an hour or two for most meetings. Our first rule filing is probably going to be about 4 rules, so we're not trying to push a bunch of rules through all at one time. Members will be asked to serve for either a 1 or 2 year time period. And the goal of that is that we want to get people having an opportunity to provide feedback, but we also want some consistency. So as we rotate through a 1 or 2 year cycle, we'll always have people on the RAC who have experience, as well as new feedback and new stakeholder engagement. So as we move through this process, again, just keep in mind that all Oregonians, stakeholders, the public, everyone will have an opportunity to provide public comment on proposed rules prior to their adoption. There are some changes happening at a statewide level right now during the legislative session about what that public comment might look like and how it's captured specifically through the Secretary of State's website. So more to come on that. Right now it will be internal on the OPDC website, but that might change a little. All proposed rules are reviewed by the Department of Justice, members of the legislature, and the Secretary of State. So there is never going to be an opportunity for an agency to file or adopt a rule without pretty significant feedback. And again, OPDC's first rule filings will cover things such as acronyms and terms, agency overview, structure, and then our general rulemaking authority. Anybody who's interested in the RAC, whether it's you or whether you want to pass this information along to somebody else, the application is posted on the website, so OPD's website. You can also email the admin rules rule box here. We are asking that applications are completed and returned no later than May 12th. That way we have time to get them all categorized, and in the event that we do need to have a drawing, we get that set up. Again, if we have a lottery, it will be during the commission meeting held on May 21st. This allows us to review names. If we don't have a lottery, we'll still get the same drawing done or the same information done, and all RAC members will be notified by the 23rd of May. The plan is to hold the first RAC welcome meeting and talk about structure and overview on June 18th. So again, the website I checked this morning is up and running. The application is available there. The link to the email is on our website as well. If you have questions, this will be posted as well as an FAQ. So the presentation will be posted here once we're done. We'll have some question and answers posted on that website. And it's pretty simple. So if you go to the OPDC website and go to general, it's the first thing that's going to pop up there at the top. It's pretty easy to locate. And again, my contact information is here, phone number, email, whichever you prefer if you have questions. Anything in chat, Kim? Okay.
Nope, we have nothing in the chat at this time.
Okay. We'll wait just a few minutes and see if anything pops in there. Again, otherwise, the plan is to get this recording posted as well as the slides. So if you know someone who might be interested, feel free to direct them to the website, share the information with them, and we will get all of this collected and organized as soon as possible. If there are no questions in the chat and no hands raised, I think we'll call it good. And thank you for joining. And again, we'll have this posted here hopefully by the end of the day. Thank you.